Yep, this is generally what I get from people. This is what most of us get from people. It's actually quite unfortunate. You are not a vampiric practitioner. I dismiss your practice. Listen, homie, I've been living this shit for nigh on 20 years. Get the fuck out of here with that delusional astral vampirism crap. None of that shit is real. Your kind needs meds. Go get professional help. And it's weird because most of what everyone believes, if they believe in the occult, is just as, like, delusional to 90% of the world. And it's so weird that this is the response we get from, like, pagans and general witches and stuff like that, because most Christians and atheists would generally look at all of the stuff that these people believe in and go, these people are fucking insane. So I don't know, it's a weird notion, but I constantly deal with this. 8 years. From anyone not in a crazy occult server that will tell you anything you want is real. Well, how is anything you believe real? That's the weird thing, right? I don't, like, and I've been, like I said, I've been dealing with this for 8 years. How, like, is any less crazy than any other spirit? Oh, God damn it. And they're going to give me some convoluted circular answer, I'm sure. Let's see what I typed, Revik. Revik. 24 in this life. How do you align with our values? I like your general approach to spiritual ambition, and based off of the simple statement you see, the simple statements, you seem interested in cutting through the bullshit and not getting your metaphysics tied up with other people's progressive or regressive politics, and trying to keep things relevant, which I appreciate. What do you seek here? I'm trying to find more people like me that have the same spiritual state of being, which is increasingly difficult given the complex politics of the situation, but I'm hoping some of the more knowledgeable people on here might be what I am and know of other servers where people like us gather in a way that isn't O9A fucked up or Michelle Bellinger goth and sexually degenerate and obnoxiously political. I seek to just simply chill and connect with fellow disconnected and learn from their experiences from their experiences from their specific spiritual line and how their astral vampirism affects them. I'm trying to avoid those that think they are undead, and I'm trying to interact with fellow undead that are undead because we are disconnected from source and not because we are fictional zombies. I'm trying to find fellow psychic vampires descended from the spiritual bloodlines of Apollo and the Morrigan specifically, but eventually I would like to find more of my own, but I'm generally pessimistic about that. Tell us about yourself. I've been a vampiric practitioner since 2016, and I'm 24 years old and have been advocating for my people and trying to refine the general public's metaphysical understanding of astral vampirism and sympathetic vampirism for around 8 years. And also, like, I am writing a book on astral vampirism, and I'd like it to be not Michelle Bellinger or Father Sebastian type level, where it is publicly acceptable, but it's somehow interlinked with goth subculture and sexual degeneracy. And then, like, the ones that take itself seriously, that don't involve themselves with all that, tend to be from a sympathetic vampirism point of view. And even though you could argue that the edgy ones that I'm about to refer to are sympathetic vampires, some of these people, like most sympathetic vampires, when they write their stuff, they write it as if they know they are connected to source, and they're just simply participating in this practice, right? Whereas it's not a state of being. Whereas I'll say that the more radical types of vampirism, where I would argue these people are connected to source, to them, because they are actually like sociopaths, they are predatory, not like the way a regular psychic vampire is predatory like a wolf or an animal. These people are like hunting in the forest predatory, like Hunger Games predatory, if that makes sense. So there are people that take that it starts off for them as a sympathetic practice, but they're more focused on turning it into a state of being because they engage in illegal activities, whether this is child abuse or actual cannibalism or, just intentionally trying to consume people's chakras. And they're more concerned about becoming a type of vampire. So, it's so cold in this room. So in general, those ones where it's like not cringe, it's just edgy. I'd like to actually publish vampiric literature that isn't like emo goth, pro LGBT, and focused on things that have nothing to do with spirituality, and things that are also, on the other hand, not in Order of the Nine Angles Machiavellian rape fantasy. So that's just that's my state of mind on it. Let's see what these people respond with. For one, the fact you just said that shows it's crazy. No, it doesn't. I mean, you're saying my practice is crazy. Well, it's not even a practice. Yes, I practiced it since 2016, but I've been a vampire before that, before I was born, and while I was even in my mother's stomach. I'm just saying this because it's ironic that whatever you practice, Kaedis, is viewed by most of the world as, hey, you should really look into taking medicine, right? So what makes you think, well, my practice is so valid, but then, oh, well, you're the crazy one for believing in vampirism. I just believe in gods, or I believe in witchcraft and believe that I have control over reality. Well, I mean, that's pretty radical, right? So why do you believe in it? Is it because it brings results? You've had experiences? Well, if that's the basis of why you believe something like that is real, then that's the basis of why I believe it's real. And in that sense, what I'm trying to say is your practice isn't crazy. Mine isn't either. How can my practice? It's entirely rooted in the supposition that A, you are something separate than a human. Well, no, I am a human and a vampire, just as vampirism is a state of the soul. So, how do I put this? You are a human with a soul, a non-vampiric soul. So, by you having a soul or a spirit, does that mean that you are claiming to be something other than human? That's such a weird logic, okay? B, the astral realm as described by modern practitioners is real. C, the entities or deities have actual spiritual bloodlines. Yeah, because when a mommy spirit and a daddy spirit have sex, they produce a baby spirit, and that baby spirit incarnates into a human, an animal, or does whatever. Your soul or spirit is made from a god and goddess or two astral entities. And then also, certain vampires can create spiritual bloodlines and lineages by getting someone's soul, and either voluntarily or non-voluntarily, very non-voluntarily, getting that umbilical cord that connects them to the monad or Brahman and slicing it with a shear. D, science should not inform one's practice, but one's practice should dictate what parts of science are valid. What does that have to do with anything? Like D, I didn't say anything about science. Hold on, that's so weird. Alrighty, and for the record, your phrasing should have been, how is my practice any crazier than any other spiritual practice? By saying less crazy, you're asking the question as if you assume that all other practices are crazier than your own. That sounds, honestly, I think this person's a woman, just because that's something women do. Oh, well, you really meant this and this and this, and it's like, as a guy, I'm just like, no, my intent is like, most men underthink it, and a lot of women are very thoughtful, very intelligent. And I'm not even saying this as like, oh, look at women. No, I'm just saying women are very thoughtful, put in a lot of attention to detail, and think their thoughts through much more efficiently than men. So I'm not saying, oh, women are just hysterical, and no, I'm saying, like, if I say something, I'm not going to spend like 20 minutes thinking about the phrasing in relation to each other. I'm just going to say something because I'm not going to think, oh, someone's not going to break this all down into semantics. I'm just having a conversation with someone that disagrees with me. But I'm not even mad. This is something that women do, and it's not even an insult. It's more of a failing on my part. All right. Then your own. In the context of the conversation, you misspoke, but that's okay. Yeah, sure, I misspoke. Sure. You're actually proving LeVay's definition of vampires correct by arguing with us. That's weird. So there's this weird type of gaslighting and sociological manipulation that goes on where it's like vampires drain you of emotion, right? So if you disagree with us, you're draining us of our emotion. Whereas if they argue with anyone else that isn't a psychic vampire, it's like, oh, well, we have a disagreement and you have a valid opinion. But because you're a vampire and you're disagreeing with us and you're trying to explain things away, then that actually means you're stealing our energy, right? So if you don't even have to be a psychic vampire to see how one-sided that is. Christopher Benzak, as an example, writes in his books that psychic vampires are people that are emotionally traumatized and try to take away other people's joy. And it's weird because if you're a happy person and you're with someone that's miserable, they're miserable for a reason, especially if they're traumatized. You have to have empathy. You have to sit down with someone, ask them what they're going through, see what their life is like, see what's going on with them, right? And if you're truly happy, happiness comes internally. It's not something that can be drained from you no matter how bad the rest of the world is. If that's the case for you, you're not a happy person, and you ought to read Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, because you deserve to be happy. But if I'm with sad people, I just want to empathize with them, right? And Christopher Benzak basically goes on a tangent being like, if you were raped or sexually molested, by you being raped or sexually molested, you seem less happy, and that makes people less happy, and then you're draining them, so you're a vampire, right? So just stop being sexually molested. It's a weird thing. So I get called a vampire for draining people mentally because they don't want to argue with me. And the thing is, I don't consume mental energy. I'm just as drained reading this as they are reading my stuff, right? There is no such thing as a mental vampire. I don't spiritually empower myself from mental energy. If there are kind of vampires like that, I don't believe they exist. But if there are, then that's a weird thing. Oh my God, they have Colin Robinson too. Wow. Do you still live in your parents' basement, all dressed in black and chugging Mountain Dew? I do drink Mountain Dew. That's way too funny. See, this is what I've had to deal with for 8 years, and it's hard because it's literally, these people don't understand. This is how Christians treat them. This is how, like, the vast majority of people all across the world would treat them if they took their conversations off the internet and talked about it. I do more than them. I willingly walk up to people on the side of the street knowing that I'm going to put my life in danger. And my face is on this channel. I talk about what I talk about. I talk about feeding on children. These are people that would keep their occult practice in private, right? So I just responded, saying that I am a vampire spiritually is no different than saying that you have a soul spiritually. Would you claim, if you had a soul, to not be human if you had a soul that left your body after you died? Me being a vampire doesn't make me any less human than you are for having a soul. B, yes, the astral realm is real. I don't understand what we don't agree with. C, I mean, yes, deities have sex and reproduce new spirits. Everyone in the server and on the planet Earth has a spirit that was born from the consummation of two spirits, much as like how babies are made physically. As above, so below. As the world I see it here, so it is so below. And a deity can get a spirit willingly or unwillingly and infuse them with their spiritual essence and cut them off from source, forcing them to feed on vital energy and not elemental energy, and thus being what is described as a psychic vampire. D, I just, like, I don't know how to respond to that. Wait, you think your imaginary soul was born from fantasy beings having sex? Yes, that is weird too, because I can tell these people are trolling me now. Like, they're not talking in good faith, because most occultists understand that the soul, the spirit, has an origin, right? There are people that are like, I'm descended from Odin, I'm descended from Zeus, I'm descended from Aphrodite, I'm a daughter of Lilith, and people are like, yeah, sure, okay. But like, that's everyone, right? It's not a matter of like, you're just delusional and saying your soul was created from a deity to make you special. No, literally all of the billions of humans on Earth, their souls were created the same way their bodies were created, because their dad put their penis in their mother. And that's the same spiritually. That's the point of animism. As above, animism, hermeticism, monism, like as above, so below. As the world I see it here, so it is so below. Aha. I disbelieve in the concept of a soul as described by any theological philosophy or woohoo spiritual thought. That's valid, right? If you're not New Agey, that's valid. I'm not New Agey. There are some things that I agree with in the New Age, but in general, I think there are a lot of things that are overdone and are Eastern mistranslations and a lot of stuff, and people just trying to profit off of books. The astral realm is entirely a mental construct and single player. It isn't real. That's your opinion. That sounds like something Joseph March would say, but also, Joseph March acts like an adult. I'm willing to bet the other, practitioners that believe that it's mental, and I've seen quite a few. There's this one atheist practitioner that talks about the astral realm as just like your brain. I can't remember. He has like blonde, long hair, but that's a valid opinion. I don't agree with that. I think the astral realm is an entirely different side of our own physical realm, and it is a realm that will continue to persist long after we're physically gone. But that's I get that. But, the childish way of responding like, oh, you're crazy and cringe because this doesn't go with my own spirit. Like, no, I'm not going to look at your viewing things as mental archetypes or whatever you practice and say, look at this guy. He's so psychically inferior that he can't connect to any genuine mystical perennial experience. So he just has to deal with his own neural pathways and brain chemicals, and his spiritual experiences are limited to his own petty inferior thought. Like, I don't even think that, by the way. I'm just trying to be a little apologetic, right? Trying to get into his mindset, but from an opposite end. Anyways, I disagree that I have any such spirit on the basis that I am grounded entirely in science and a devout atheistic practitioner. Okay, see, this is valid, right? But I know atheistic practitioners that do not behave like children or try to gaslight me and think, oh, you're draining my energy because I don't actually have the ability to argue with you. That's really why that's why I don't want to engage with these people, because they're taking my energy away mentally, right? I can regain that by just sitting alone, right? But my actual spiritual energy remains completely unaffected, just as theirs does. I'm not draining them. I'm not feeding on them. If I were feeding on them, given what they're saying to me, they probably wouldn't notice. I'm not an atheist, and even I think a soul is illogical to base beliefs on. Again, that's an opinion, right? So you're being hostile and attacking me and trying to insult me. And manipulate me with intellectual dishonesty because that's not what you believe. That's not how people engage with each other when it comes to theological discussions or metaphysical discussions. Okay, then they banned me. Got him.